Hi, my name's John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. Tonight's nightcap is all about the little hydraulic test pump I use for testing various steam engine components, valves and bits and pieces that I've either made or bastardised. In one of last week's nightcaps, or the week before, one of the videos had subtitles on. This was because I'd clicked the button on my editing suite and it put subtitles on. Lots of people have wrote in saying that the comments were very amusing. Well, I must admit, I thought they were amusing as well. And could I put them on videos in the future? I can do. If you want us to put the comments on, all you've got to do is click in the comment box and say, John, put the comments on. Enough people do that, I'll certainly put the comments on. Next weekend, I won't be here. I'm at a race retro weekend with Rob from Extreme Plasma, showing off all his plasma cutting equipment, and there'll also be one or two Vortex welders there. Deb's coming with us as well. It's going to be a really good, decent weekend out. There'll still be nightcaps. I'm going to do something this week and put it on a timer. This is a little hydraulic test pump I use for testing various fittings and adapters that I make. I actually got it given. My daughter gave us it, and what's happened, I had the gauge on something else and I dropped the gauge. Unfortunately now the gauge is showing 140 psi with nothing in it, so the gauge is scrap. I mean, I'd say they look good, but they're a cheap gauge. They're not serviceable. That's the end of it. The thread on that gauge is 1/4 BSP. Now I bought a gauge, the bigger one, same range, 600 psi. Not expensive, but not cheap either. But I made a mistake and I've ordered 3/8 BSP instead of 1/2 inch. And it won't fit in there. So I'm going to have to put it facing that way anyhow, because it's going to hit the handle. But I want to make an adapter for it to go from 3/8 to 1/4. I will find a bit of brass hexi bar, make an adapter. I've also got a gauge that I know is accurate, it's been calibrated, and I'll test this gauge against the other one just to see how good this is. It certainly looks the part. See, it wasn't the cheapest one, but it wasn't a great deal of money either. I mean, that's sealed, you can't get them apart. That front's rolled on. What it should do for what I want. If you look at the bottom of the gauge, it's got a flat face on it. What happens is it seals on that face with a fibre washer. It doesn't seal on the threads, so we need a flat bottomed hole. 3/8 BSP with a little counter bore in to take that little tit there. Piece of suitable material here. I'm just going to clock this chuck in because I haven't clocked it in since I last put it in there, and it's possible it's a little bit of run out on it. The chuck's actually adjustable. I'll show you how I adjust it now. The jaws are clean because I cleaned them when I put them in. We'll tighten this in on the master jaw, which is that one there. It's got a 0 on it. Put a clock gauge onto here. Turn that off, we don't need the noise of that bastard thing running. Yeah, it's got nearly 10,000 run out in it. I bring the camera in so you can actually see the gauge. When I fitted the chuck, I made it a loose fit on the register on the back to allow us to adjust it. It's held on by 3 Allen bolts. Loosen those off. Right, we need to find the highest point, which is there. Right, that's within, that's less than a fanny's hair, that. That's perfect. Right, so knit them back up. Right, that's probably as good as it's going to get. Bastard thing. It's a decent quality chuck, this. It is quite repeatable. It's on different sizes. Once it's set up like that, it's good. We'll see if that looks like it's running any better. Indeed it is running better. Right, so we need to face that off, drill it, then tap it, 3/8 BSP. I'm going to put a pilot drill in first. It's going to be that size, 5.64mm. That must be an imperial size. It is. A nice new 5.8mm drill, that'll do very nicely. I'm going to put a big centre drill in there first just to clean that up. Just to make sure it is running nice and true. You watch for brass picking up. You've got to keep the hole clean. This is drilling straight in, there's no pilot hole. If there'd been a pilot hole, the new drill would have been too sharp and it would have started to bite and snatch. There is a way of sharpening drills, so you can drill brass without that happening. Tapping drill for 3/8 BSP parallel 15.25. I'm going to try this drilling first and see what happens. To make it for drilling brass, all you do is you put a little flat on the leading edge. Right, so I put a little flat on the leading edges. See how that goes. Well, it makes horrible noises, but it didn't snag, it didn't bite, so that drill we put away. It's a 9/16 drill, I've got a few of them. I'll put that to one side and keep it for drilling brass. 15.25 was the size we needed. It's a 14.4. We'll put a little boring tool in, a little boring bar, and just tweak it out. That will make sure we've got a flat bottom to the hole as well. Just touching there. Right, so let's put a nice flat bottom in the hole for the washer to seal on. A little scratch cut and then get another size. Right, we're 14.5. 15 dead. Another spring cut should do what we want. And another clean up across the bottom. And that's it. A little bit of WD-40 type lubricant helps to lubricate the tap on brass quite nicely. This is the taper top, and we're going to put a plug tap there next. It will slip in the chuck once it gets to the bottom of its hole, which is there. So I had a grip in the chuck tight, but not too tight, just enough. This is not a good tap, it's not the sharpest tap in the world, but it should do the job. We're about there now, I think. Come on, John. And bust it in straight. Right, I need a little bit off there. It's not quite bottomed out. A little bit off there, and then the fibre washer will take up any discrepancy. I'm just going to start the tap again just to make sure the threads aren't damaged. A little chamfer on the corners just to tidy things up a little bit. That was rapid, John. The lathe goes twice as fast backwards as it does forwards. A little bit more. Right. Happy at that. Next we'll part it off. Next we need quarter BSP external on there. I'm just going to do it with a die. We need this down to 13.2mm. You can see what that tip's actually chipped. It'll do for this job with it. all I've done is zero the vernier on the threads on the oil gauge actually, and that gives me a reading of 0.79, so 1.4 side off that and give you the right size. Nice 0.2. Measure it again. Point 4. Reading there was 0, so dead on size. A little taper on there to help the die start. I've got a brand new oil stock Auto VSP die nut that'll do that. Thread no problem at all. Just keep it nicely lined up. Just do it by hand, it's only a short thread. You could power this and jam the spanner on the cross side I suppose, but it's not worth it. That's such a short length of thread, especially on brass. But it will cut a perfectly acceptable thread on brass. Right, it's a nice sharp heel thread, just what we need, parallel thread. Just want to put a little chamfer on that edge of the hex there just to finish it off. That'll do. I've got a nice little copper bastard. I had a nice little copper washer. Right, I found it. Nice little copper washer, and that screws onto the gauge. And that'll seal the gauge into there. What you don't do is tighten the gauge on like that. You use a spanner on the hex on the gauge provided. Right, we'll just disconnect the handle so it can. Used to be a clever pin in there, it must have fell out. Right, so it can we still do it with that in or not? Yeah, we should be able to. Right, that screws into there. In the bottom of there, that is a little firmer washer for that to seal onto. Where's it going to end up, he wonders. I want it across there like that. Actually, I think that should probably do. Yep, that'll do. I want to drop a little bit of a bollock there, but it's worked out alright. I need to put a proper clever spin in here sometime. Now we'll put some water in and do a comparison on the two gauges out of interest. fine. I just used soluble oil off the milling machine. The cutting coolant. It saves on any corrosion. Make sure the pipe's full. All the air out. Right, that's it. So now it's full of fluid. A little bit of pipe tape. We'll screw the gauge in there and then see what sort of reading we'll get. Right, go and find the pipe tape. Not really well organised at the minute. Going to get a little bit of leakage past there, but nothing we can't go up with. So a friend did take this gauge to work and get it calibrated for us. A decent quality one. And you can put it in a vise like that so you can see both gauges in the same sort of shot. It's not too bad. Right, a gentle pump. Pressure starting to lift. That one says 50. And that one's saying 45, 100, dropping off slightly, 100, 200, and down to 200, there. So that gauge is pretty good, certainly good enough for our one. That's 200 there and that's just below, quite happy with that. It's a pity this gauge hasn't got a higher reading. I would have just used that one, but never mind, it is what it is. There's a little bleed valve here for letting it down, and the little holes went to line up with a little hole in the base so it doesn't piss everywhere. Better. Right, we'll bring it up again. $100 there. That's just short of 100. $200. Yes. Good enough for what John needs. That's one of the fusible plugs I made last week. So we can put some decent pressure on the gauge. That was tested at 400. There's 400. And the gauge fittings are nice and dry. Are you happy with that? It's dropping back because the check valve in here must be leaking very slightly. So I need to look at. No, it's not, it's coming from the threads around there. Right, quite happy, nice sort of repair job that needed doing. I had no PFE tape, so I've used a piece of old nightwear glove and it worked quite well. I was busy taking up and I found this scabby stuff lying on the back of there. I think I'll have to buy a few more rolls and dot them strategically around the workshop. Let's drain all the water out the pipe. This pipe was extended to reach into a steam wagon, that's why it's so long. And here's quite a nice handy little test brake. I want to put an elbow on there just to tidy things up a little bit. That'll do. I mean, so I can get the cover of this and have a look inside it just to see what's gone wrong. Can't do any harm, can it? Have a look. The gauges filled with glycerine, but I'm sure that's just rolled over. They're a sealed unit, and once they go wrong, I think that's the end of it. You cut that off with a die grinder actually, and then it's not going to go back together. Great potential for poking something at my hand here. Let's start to give it in. And it just cut through that actually. And you could go all the way around and flick that up if you wanted to try and get it into it, put it back together, but it ain't going back together. The glass is plastic, that's why it survived. Get the oil out of it. There's a couple of Phillips screws in the back that hold the job together. Right. Okay, so how does that come out of there? They managed to put it in there. Does that bit screw off? Looks like it. There's a flat in there. I would imagine the pointer will be taken off, like that. The face comes off, like that. That's nice inside, coppery and brass. It's clever the way they work. It's what they call a board and tube. And when the pressure goes in there, the tube tries to straighten out. Bring the camera a bit closer so you can see it. And so the pressure goes into this tube and tries to push it straight, like that. And what that does, it works on a rack inside, a rack in the gear and a little hairspring, and it turns that basically. And that's how it works. I think the calibrator, you'll probably put the pointer back on at 0 and then test it again. I don't see there's any adjustment anywhere. I'm not quite sure what I did to it when I dropped it, but it hasn't done any favours. Anyway, quite nicely made inside, I suppose, for what it is. Once again, just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because we are getting very near to the magical 100,000. Anyway, thanks for watching.